Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show where we break down the biggest and best Premier League action. Joining me is two of the best. It's McCubbin and Henry. Now we've just watched Liverpool end Manchester City's 21-game unbeaten streak in an enthralling encounter at Anfield with Liverpool edging City 1-0. Largely owing, it's got to be said, to a massive defensive performance which has been missing in the opening exchanges of this season. That is why we have made it our focus today. So gentlemen, we're going to do a winner and a loser each, and then we'll move on to some shout-outs for best of the rest. Let's kick things off then with you, McCubbs.
Yep.
Who have you sounded out for special praise following that 90?
I think it's hard to look past Joe Gomez.
The boy.
Just an amazing performance from him, especially given the context of coming into this game. Like you said, Liverpool's defence has been leaky this term. I think they were conceding 1.5 goals per 90 before this match. They conceded 3 in the last 2 Premier League games, hadn't they, against Arsenal and Brighton. And then to add to that, Joe Gomez is a player who's been kind of shot of confidence in the last few months. He only played 8 games in the league last year. He missed the whole of 2021. We hadn't really seen him consistently since that title.
Well, you even said when we were watching it as well, what a remontada after the Napoli game.
Yeah, the Napoli game as well. That's what I mean. Completely bullied by Osimhen in that first half of that game. One of a number of Liverpool players, to have had a bit of a stinker that game, but particularly him. Was he hooked at half-time as well?
Yeah.
Someone who was considered one of the best defenders in the league a few years ago has, seemed really out of confidence until this game, but, really stepped up, covered really well for James Milner, who we all know, obviously, at right back, doesn't have the legs of, generally, who you'd expect to be a Premier League right back. I think he completed all his tackles and interceptions, got 4 in total. I think he won 6 aerial duels as well. In a game in which City were kind of peppering the box with crosses. All around just an excellent defensive display from him. I think the whole back line was great, but given his difficulties over the last year, it was great to see Gomez step up in a game of this magnitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And Virgil van Dijk next in, been out of form of late, but not a bad 90 from him as well. 7 clearances, 2 blocks, but not your winner, Henry. Who was your winner from this game?
Well, I think the commentators said it well at the end. It looks as if the team had just said to each other, this is the game that we step up, this is the game that we correct the kind of difficulties that they've been having this season. And to a man, I just thought Liverpool was superb. And that starts with their talisman up front, Mo Salah. I just thought to spin Cancelo for that goal, the composure to finish it off so well against Ederson, who pulled off a formidable save against Salah only sort of minutes before. It really was the mark of Salah. He worked so hard, working on the break. I just thought he was exceptional. He showed, bear in mind, he's had a difficult season so far. What was it, 2 goals and 8 so far this season, which at this point is the lowest total he's ever had for Liverpool. It was looking like he was going to be on 5 games without a goal at home at Anfield, which is unheard of. We've seen Bobby Firmino basically have to step up in the absence of his goals, and Mane this season. That wasn't really the plan for Liverpool, was it, to have Firmino sort of as the main source of goals this season, with Nunez coming in, who, you know what, he had good moments, but a lot of tricky moments.
An eventful cameo from Nunez, big time.
Absolutely, and he could have slipped in Salah. If he'd had maybe a bit better supply from Jota or from Nunez, then I think we would have seen Salah get on the goal score sheet more. But I thought he took his moment exceptionally, and he showed he was still here, really, because he's been a bit quiet this season. But in the big moment, in the big game where Liverpool really needed someone, Salah stepped up. But exceptional across the board. Milner playing 100 minutes at right back and right centre back, as you said, Van Dijk too. But I really loved what Salah did today, and I'm really pleased for him because I think he needed that performance and he gave it. Yeah,
there were so many brilliant runs off the ball that were wasted as well. I tweeted out immediately after the game that never has he missed probably Sadio Mane more in 90 minutes than in this fixture, because him and Jota didn't seem on the same wavelength. Nunez, when he came on, could have squared it for him. It didn't quite happen, did it?
I mean, that run at the end, that battle with Bernardo Silva, which saw Klopp get the red card, I think that really exemplified why Salah was epic this game. It was a battle down the right wing. He was willing to take on any single man he was up against there. And I think they did slightly exploit the fact that was a Man City defence which maybe hasn't played as much together, that back four as a set four. I think that was an opportunity for the Liverpool attack to really make the most of it, and I think it did.
A little bit disjointed. And when we say we want to talk about the defending, it's not just Liverpool's defenders, and I think Diogo Jota exemplifies that. He completed 5 tackles in this game. He covered Robertson really, really well when they made that run in the half spaces, Manchester City, whether that be Bernardo Silva, whether that be, I don't know, Haaland pulling out wide or Foden switching flank. Every person in that Liverpool side was committed to the nitty-gritty stuff today, weren't they? But we've got to move on to losers, and we do have to do losers. This is winners and losers after all. Despite it being a really high-caliber game, despite there not being many obvious candidates for this, you're going with Cancelo.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, look, it's harsh.
A normally flawless guy.
I mean, arguably the best fullback in the world this season, Joao Cancelo. I think he ranks pretty much top of all the metrics for Premier League defenders, especially going forward this term too. So yeah, it is harsh, but this game was lost in one moment, and Cancelo was spun by Salah expertly, I must add. For that, he was also out-muscled by Nunez moments later, and if Nunez, had made a better decision having done that and not let Cancelo get back in, that could have been 2-0 as well. I also think he was, his threat was generally nullified going forward as well by, like you say, Jota covering for Robertson. I think he only managed 1 cross all game. I don't think he managed to create a chance either. I think, Van Dijk's clearance there, which I think it would have been in for Haaland in the dying moments.
Yeah, the first time volleyed pass across
so
the box.
It was brilliant, but generally speaking, he was dealt with, and I think that's something that I don't think any opponent in the Premier League has managed to do against Cancelo this season. So I think he lost his powers in this game. I think we'll get onto it. Erling Haaland, again, someone who lost his powers a little bit, but I think it's mainly down to the Liverpool
You've
defense.
just jogged my memory there when you said that Cancelo got spun by Salah. We were actually talking about how good Salah was at using his bum in the first half, right? I don't know whether it's Diaz or Akanji, but that was coming. And Salah, when he took up those central positions, was really good on the break, wasn't he? Just either holding up the ball or feeding it to someone out wide. Admittedly, probably expected it back several times and didn't get it. But yes, let's move on to your loser. Who is it?
Well, in a similar vein to what McCubbs has just said, it's hard to pick out a loser here, but Haaland...
Look, we should be enjoying this.
You have to
labelling Man City losers for 1 week.
It's healthy for the league. You have to say that this was his biggest challenge yet in a Man City shirt. A massive evening away at Anfield. The crowd, by the way, were epic in this game, really dragged them over. And Haaland came up short. I mean, he had 6 shots in the game.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, which is a lot. Yeah, I mean, the 2 stick out is that header in the first half, which maybe you think he could have done more there. Alisson's made a good save in the second half. He actually did well in his aerial duel battles. He was as sort of physical as we thought he might be. Obviously, there was the disallowed goal, which he was involved in too. But ultimately, by the end of the game, he kind of went quiet, didn't he? We sort of, the last half an hour, it's difficult to see where the impact Haaland was making. And that's testament, once again, to the Liverpool defensive effort, to Van Dijk, etc. We're looking at this and going, no, we can deal with you, we will deal with you. And I thought they did excellent in that regard. But Haaland, this was a big moment for him to really make a claim. But you can't take away anything that he's done this season. Still an unbelievable record. And it was just interesting to see that maybe a team finally getting the better of him in the Premier League for now. Have they set a blueprint going forward? But I mean, it's going to take a serious mentality and a serious physical effort to deal with him. But in a game of sort of Haaland versus Salah, Salah comes out the king.
No longer on course to score 64 Premier League goals now. It might have come down to below 55. Anyway, let's move on then to shout-outs. Let's do some best of the rest, like we said we would. Diogo Jota, I feel like we've already covered him, but carried off on a stretcher. Let's hope that's not too serious because, of course, Liverpool are missing Diaz as well until after the World Cup. I've got Thiago down. Obviously, Fabinho was taken off in this game. Thiago, 6 tackles and interceptions. I've put 2 fouls down as well because one of them was very tasty. It stopped Manchester City in transition. An awful lot. I think that's the quickest I've ever seen Thiago across 20 yards. He knew what he was doing and achieved the desired result. I just thought he showed street smarts in this game. Was always available to take the pass off his fullback or centre half. We know that about him. That's nothing new, but just showed a lot of bravery and poise on the ball. And I think when he plays and plays well and lasts the full 90, Liverpool look like a different side, don't they? Is there anyone else that I'm missing? I don't want to do anyone a disservice because this was a great game. Any other shout-outs?
I mean, the midfield battle in general I thought was pretty fascinating. It was an end-to-end game, but I think it was just really fiery in the middle. Bernardo Silva as well was excellent in the second half. He was obviously putting in big challenges as well. I'm trying to think. I also think Klopp as well. I think he made his substitutions at the right time.
Good shout.
Obviously, we thought Salah was going off for a second. A bit of a mistake by the fourth official there. But yeah, Nunez gets a lot of stick for his decision making, and rightly so in this game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, bringing on a presence like Nunez when he did, it did work out well because he did manage to carry those counter attacks.
Pen back Cancelo.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't let City settle when they were trying to get that equaliser. So as a disruptive substitution, I thought that was excellent, and I think also Fabio Carvalho was pretty assured in possession.
Good.
When he came on at a time where I feel like Elliott was losing his power a little bit in the game too. I think he put in a good shift in the first half, I may add. I think just tactically Klopp got it right, and I think he has to receive a lot of credit for that.
Nice, pinned back Cancelo. I think it's just said pen back, which doesn't make any sense, but alas. As a result, Liverpool move to 8th in the table on 13 points, but they do have a game in hand as well and could move to 6th if they win that. And the numbers still suggesting they're the 3rd or 4th best side in the country, so we expect them to revert to type, particularly after a result like this. Anyway, stick around for the next clip because we're going to be discussing all things Mason Mount. Like this video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and we'll see you very shortly.